Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are tuning in. Thank you for joining me for the next episode of Brahma Viharas, Loving Kindness for Groups. Now, in this stage of the practice, we start widening our circle of care, and we extend these gifts of loving kindness that we use. We do that in the form of kind of aspirations, phrases that we send out to other people's hearts. Now, the group that we'll be using here in this practice is a combination of the other stages that we've already moved through in the practice. Now, if you haven't done those stages yet, don't worry. If you're just joining me here for this episode, if your first time joining me, please do stick around. Enjoy the practice. You don't have to do the other stages before this one. But I would recommend doing all of the stages in order at some point if you're going to take up the Brahma Viharas as a practice. That's where you'll get the most benefit. And I'm going to talk more about that in a couple of episodes from now when I give a summary and a conclusion to loving kindness practice. So again, sending this out to a group of 4, we include ourselves. Then we send it out to all 4 at the same time. Now, I did a pretty exhaustive introduction to this practice yesterday. Again, stick around, follow along with me. But then if you want to take this up as a practice, if you like it, if you think it feels good to you, go back and watch yesterday's episode where I do a thorough, exhaustive introduction for loving kindness for groups. But I'll just quickly go through it so you're not lost. So I'll ring the bell, we'll come into the silence, we'll bring our awareness to the breath, the body, the sounds of the present moment. Really just resting in the present moment, allowing the mind to settle, the heart and body to settle. We rest there just for maybe 3 or 4 breaths, and then we offer these phrases of loving kindness to our own heart first. Before we extend it out to the group, we offer the phrases to our own heart. We do that first as a way of touching in with loving kindness, as a way of getting the warmth flowing, kind of priming the pump, if you will. And we don't stay for each phrase very long there. We might stay for maybe 15 seconds between each phrases, just to let the phrase land in the heart, feel some loving kindness for ourselves there. Then we send the phrases out to all 4 of us. And so you might visualize or imagine the 4 of you seated around a nice table, or I like to use a campfire. I think that works really well. Or maybe standing around, that's fine. The 4 people are a loved one, somebody that you're very fond of. This could be a family member or a very close friend, not someone we have a romantic relationship with, but a loved one that we feel very close with, but not a husband, not a wife, not a spouse, not a partner, boyfriend or girlfriend like that. We don't want to use that type of relationship for these practices. So loved one, then a person we don't know, and a person we don't like, a perceived enemy. And now with the perceived enemy, we don't want to use somebody who we really don't like, but really just a person for whom there's just some tension there towards. So not somebody who really hurt us or wronged us, but we know we don't like that person. We're not comfortable when we're in that person's company. Okay. And so we bring the phrase up to the 4. And then with each phrase, we visualize, imagine what our lives would look or feel like if each phrase was completely reflective of our life circumstance. So we'll spend about a minute with each phrase, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, visualizing that. Now, the things to pay attention to here are how we open up. When we offer these phrases of loving kindness, we might feel an opening, a warmth. Just notice that. There might be a resistance, a closing down. Your mind might start to say, oh, that'll never happen. I don't want that person to be happy for whatever reason. Whatever the resistance is, or you might feel a numbness or a shutting down or a closing off. Those are all forms of resistance to loving kindness. We don't try to change that. We just notice, oh, I'm not open to that form of loving kindness. And we just take a note of that. We don't try to shift that or change that. There might be no response. You might not feel a like or a dislike when you bring the phrase up. There might not be an opening or a closing down. That's fine. In that situation, we're just planting the seeds of loving kindness, and eventually those seeds will begin to bear fruit. Sometimes it takes a week or two of a consistent loving kindness practice to start to bear fruit. Also, sometimes, and often this happens, when one takes up a loving kindness practice, they might do it for 4 or 5 days, not feel anything, and then they're out and about, maybe in a park or practicing social distancing in a mall, and all of a sudden they feel loving kindness towards somebody. Perhaps talking about meditation in a Zoom session, and all of a sudden their heart opens up and they feel loving kindness. That can happen. Okay, I think that's all of the introduction I'm going to give today. This is mostly a guided meditation episode of the Brahma Viharas, so I'm just going to launch right into it. I'll ring the bell, guide us into the present moment, go into the practice, and then we'll come back to the present moment at the end. Enjoy. So allowing the body, mind, and heart to rest. Just coming into this present moment. Noticing the breath entering and leaving the nose. Noticing the breath as it touches the back of the throat. Perhaps just noticing the temperature changing from the inhalation to exhalation at the nose and the back of the throat. You might also notice the rib cage expanding and contracting with each breath. There might be sensations of clothing moving to adjust with the rising and falling of the shoulders, chest, and abdomen as you inhale and exhale. You might also notice the back moving out as you breathe in as you breathe out. Noticing the shoulders rising and falling with each breath. And you might also notice the body straightening up slightly as you breathe in and leaning forward slightly as you breathe out. While resting with the breath, you might also notice sensations of clothing against the shoulders, the arms resting against the body, noticing the hands resting against the body or touching each other. There might also be sensations of clothing against the back, the weight of the body against the cushion or chair, mat or floor. There might also be sensations of clothing against the legs and the feet against the mat or the floor. You might also notice sensations arising from the back of the neck and the sides of the neck. Sensations arising from the back of the head and the ears. Noticing any sensations arising from the cheeks of the face. The lips, the nose, the eyes and the forehead. Noticing any sensations arising from the top of the head. And so we'll rest right there for a few moments, resting with the breath and the body. And while resting with the sensations of the breath and the body, you might also notice the sounds of the present moment. You don't need to focus on any one particular sound, but noticing the entire field of sounds, hearing all of the sounds all at the same time. And in addition to any sounds, paying close attention to the quality of still silence within the sense of hearing. When we listen to the silent space, we might notice how that stillness, that silence, seems to surround each sound. And so we'll rest right there, maintaining awareness on the sensations of the breath, from the nose to the abdomen to the nose. Sensations arising throughout the body, from the top of the head to the bottoms of the feet. The silence and sound of this present moment experience. And just rest. And now, while maintaining awareness on the of the breath, the body, silence and sound, we'll begin offering these very precious phrases of loving kindness to our own heart, as if we were bringing our heart a rare, precious gift. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live a life of peace without struggle. May I open to things just as they are. May I experience the world opening to me just as I am. May I welcome whatever arises. And breathing in and breathing out. Allowing a visualization to arise in your mind's eye. Visualizing yourself, a loved one, a person you don't know, a person who's neutral, you don't dislike or like that person, and a perceived enemy. You can visualize the four of you seated around a table or at a campfire. And we'll begin offering these very precious phrases of loving kindness to the group of four. After we offer each phrase, we'll spend a minute visualizing or imagining what our lives would look or feel like if these phrases were completely reflective of our life circumstance. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we live a life of peace without struggle. to things just as they are. May we experience the world opening to us just as we are. May we welcome whatever arises. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we live a life of peace without struggle. May we open to things just as they are. May we experience the world opening to us just as we are. May we welcome whatever arises. And breathing in and breathing out, allowing any visualization left in the mind's eye to dissolve. Bringing attention and awareness back to the sounds of the present moment, simply noticing anything arising in the sense of hearing. You might also notice a backdrop of silence within the sense of hearing, behind the sounds. And while resting with the silence and sound, you might also notice sensations of the feet against the mat or the floor, sensations of clothing against the legs, the weight of the body against the cushion or chair, mat or floor, sensations of clothing against the back, you might notice the hands resting against the body or touching each other. Sensations of the arms resting against the body. Noticing the sensations of clothing against the shoulders. And you might also notice sensations arising from the back of the neck, the sides of the neck. Sensations arising from the back of the head and the ears. There might be sensations arising from the face, including the lips and the nose, the eyes and the forehead. Noticing any sensation arising from the top of the head. And while resting there with the silence and sound and the sensations arising throughout the body, bringing attention to the breath as it enters and leaves the nose. Noticing the breath touching the back of the throat. Noticing the rib cage expanding and contracting with each breath. The rising and falling of the abdomen as you inhale and exhale. Noticing the back moving out as you breathe in as you breathe out. The shoulders rising and falling with each breath. And so we'll rest right there for a few moments. Resting with the silence and sound, body and breath. If you noticed any warmth or opening to loving kindness during this practice, you can allow that loving kindness, warmth to flow through your body, mind, and heart. And just rest. So I hope you found my guiding meditation, Loving Kindness, for this group. Really the archetypes of our relationship experiences. Sending loving kindness to a loved one, a stranger, and a perceived enemy. And also experiencing it for our own heart as well. So the group of 4 here. Now there are meditations designed to allow us to send loving kindness to specific groups of people. This is often done when we feel that there's a particular group of people suffering, migrant workers in Singapore, refugee camps in Bangladesh and so forth. We might take the time and practice for a week or two, sending groups who are less fortunate than us loving kindness. And that can be really quite a beautiful practice too. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that tomorrow. Tomorrow is my introduction to the final stage of loving kindness practice, where we offer loving kindness to the entire world. It's quite beautiful. And I'll also be answering a few questions. I'll be getting some questions trickling in about loving kindness practice. Particularly, why is it so difficult to send loving kindness to a perceived enemy? That's one question that I'll be talking about tomorrow, and a couple of other questions that I received. So, by the way, I love getting the questions. Please do send any questions or comments that you have. You can send them on the comments here below the video if you wish, or you can send them through my messenger. Happy to get those, happy to field those. I do a Q&A roughly every other day on this series. And that reminds me, a little bit of advertisement. or an announcement, maybe, perhaps better said. I am doing a panel discussion hosted by my good friend Wendy down in Cebu in the Philippines. This is at 9 a.m. in Thailand or 10 p.m. on the East Coast of America. This is a discussion hosted by Wendy, myself, and another teacher named Ajos. I think I'm getting that right. We've only met briefly. So sorry if I mispronounced that name. Great teacher, though. He seems very knowledgeable and very skilled. So it should be a really lively discussion on the topic of desire and how desire plays a role in our spiritual practice or our meditation practice, and how desire can be an asset or a detriment in everyday life. So that should be a lot of fun. It's kind of a hot topic. And it's open panel, so it's on Zoom, and you can feel free to send in any questions while we're live on the air, or send them in beforehand if you'd like to give us a chance to prepare. So all of that information is on my Facebook page as well. In addition to that, I will be facilitating guided meditations for an online retreat for the New Life Foundation. This looks like an amazing retreat. It's over 4 days, 2 weekends, the May 30th and 31st, and June 6th and 7th. I'll be doing the opening meditations on each day. Those are at 8:30 in the morning Thailand time, which is 9:30 p.m. East Coast time. That'll be the opening. I think we're doing like an opening meeting, an opening ceremony, so to speak, and then I'm doing a half an hour guided meditation. I'll also be closing each retreat. So on the Sunday evening of each retreat, I'm giving a Dharma talk as a way of closing the retreats out. So tune in for that. If you'd like to do an online retreat, it's a great way to stimulate a meditation practice, a spiritual practice. There'll be a lot of mindfulness offerings, a lot of meditation offerings, my offerings. There'll also be yoga, some therapeutic growth offerings, and so forth like that. So it really looks like a fantastic lineup. So for more information on that, there is information on my Facebook page. Also, you can check out newlifefoundation.com. And so that's a worldwide event, and I believe it's free. So do take advantage of that cost-effective yet very spiritually enriching program. Thank you for joining me. I will be back tomorrow at the same time doing all of what I just talked about, giving the introduction to the final stage of the loving kindness practice and a Q&A. Please, please, please practice your social distancing, wear your masks, wash your hands as much as possible, sanitize, stay safe, stay clean, stay healthy, and we'll get through this crazy time together. Thank you.